Hello you flonkers and welcome back today to another video on the Drewzy channel, and today, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be looking at the most improved players in the AFL of 2021. Now obviously I can't get every player who has improved, so I've just gone for the most improved in my mind. So if there's any that I miss out, make sure you comment them down below, because I'm sure there's plenty that I've missed out on. I'm trying to hit 6,000 subscribers by the end of the month, and around half of the people that watch my videos aren't subscribed. What are you doing? Hop on board off the Plonker Army. Make sure you hit that red button, subscribe, and like the video if you enjoy. Anyway, let's get into it. The first player on this list, and one of my favourite players in the league to watch, is Zac Bailey. In 2020, Bailey averaged 13 disposals and 0.68 goals per game, but in 2021 he took a massive leap, averaging an extra 5 disposals for 18.3 disposals and 1.29 goals per game for the Brisbane boys. He's 21 years old, and I think what makes him such an elite level player is his composure. We've seen so many times this season where he's come out of a pack, sold the candy, step 1, step 2, and he's out into space. I saw it on the weekend against the Bulldogs in a game where they narrowly lost. He tied the game with about 2 minutes left with just high footy IQ and composure. He kicked another ripping goal like that against Adelaide, where he sold about 3 candies. There's a sour worm, there's a piece of licorice, and there's a Tim Tam, and then kicked it from 50. He had 3 goals and 26 disposals. That was one of his best games of the season. And of course, kicking the game winner after the siren against Collingwood would have been a standout for Zac Bailey's season this year. He probably got more midfield minutes this season, given that Cam Rayner was injured, so he had a lot more midfield time, and he was a massive threat going forward. As I said, he had about 1.2 goals per game, but his inside 50 numbers also went up. His inside 50s went up from 2.9 to 4.2, so he's clearly having an impact going into the forward line for the Brisbane boys. A massive threat, and looks like Lachie Neale's staying now, but it doesn't matter. I think Zac Bailey's going to be one of their best midfielders for years to come, and yeah, he's already looking like an elite level midfielder. Definitely going to be an All-Australian one day. The second player on this list that I'm going to discuss is Benjamin Keays, and he could probably be the most improved player on this list. Last year he averaged around 16 disposals a game, and this year he averaged 28 disposals per game. It's like he's a new player this season. He's doubled his tackles from 3 to 6, and his inside 50s have gone up from 2.9 to 5.5. So he's having impact around the contest to get the ball with his tackles, and then he's also delivering it inside 50. He had some massive games this year, including a 38 disposal, 2 goal performance against North Melbourne, 2 goals and 30 disposals against West Coast, and 2 goals and 34 disposals against Melbourne. And he had heaps more. He was just consistent all season, and yeah, he really stood out in that Adelaide side. He's going to be a massive part of their rebuild. Good boy, Benjamin Keays. The third player that I'm going to discuss on this list is Sam Taylor, who helped GWS get back into the top 8 this season. He played 19 games for GWS this season, and they had a lot of injuries, so he was a constant in this side, and he linked up very well with Isaac Cumming. They're going to be a great defensive partnership for years to come. They're going to learn plenty from Phil Davis and Nick Haynes. Obviously 2 high-level, very experienced defenders, and they're looking like they're rubbing off on guys like Cumming and Taylor. He averaged 6 more disposals and 4 more marks than last season. Obviously these numbers are a bit skewed given that the quarters were shorter last year, but it doesn't matter. He's improved nonetheless, and he had a breakout performance against Geelong where he pretty much won the game off his own back, stopped heaps of goals in a close game down at GMHBA. He had 21 disposals and 12 marks out of defence, and yeah, it was clearly the best on ground. It was a clear standout performance for him this season. They had a good year, GWS, and I think they'll improve next year, and Sam Taylor will be a massive part of that. The next player I'm going to talk about is Bailey Dale of the Western Bullfrogs, and in such a star-studded side, Bailey Dale was one of 3 All-Australians, so he's clearly a very important player for them. Previous to this year, his best disposal average was 17, and he upped that to 24 this year, so he was absolutely massive off the half-back line for the Bullfrogs. His rebound 50s increased by 5 this season, and that's a massive part of the Bulldogs game. They like to keep the ball in their forward half and press high to suffocate teams, and Bailey Dale, an All-Australian player, getting around 24 disposals per game, has been massive this year in the Bulldogs' success. The Bulldogs season is still alive. They've got a prelim this weekend against Port Adelaide, and if Bailey Dale can have a massive game, it's going to give them a great hope in making a grand final and winning their 2nd grand final in 5 years. The next player I'm going to talk about is Nick Hined, and he has gone from a C player, even maybe a D, to a B plus A grade player. He was so consistent this season for Essendon. After joining the Bombers from St Kilda, he's been put on the half back line, and his acceleration, his dash off the half back line has been a clear point of emphasis for the Bombers to get the ball from the back half, moving forward. He missed out on the elimination final against the Bulldogs, where Essendon had a real lack of composure and just run off the half back line. There was lots of kicks out of their back half, which were just getting swallowed up by the Bulldogs. In, I think it was 3 weeks previous, they versed the Bulldogs, and he had 23 disposals, so he was a massive loss for that game. He spent more time forward at the Saints. He only averaged 9 disposals last year. This year he averaged around 23, so a massive jump in disposals, and he's just having a way bigger impact. He's found his role and he's playing it perfectly. His best game this year probably come against my boys Freo. It's not hard to put up a good performance against Freo at times, but he had 31 disposals and 8 marks in a narrow win, so he probably won that game for the Bombers. His speed, acceleration, he's such a good kick as well. Yeah, he's a gem that the Bombers have plucked out of St Kilda and made into a very crucial role player for this rebuild. The next player I'm going to talk about is Harry McKay, and I wasn't sold on him last year, and I even said in my pre-season predictions that I'm just not huge on Harry McKay. I don't think he's going to be the main man for Carlton, but he proved me wrong. He kicked 21 goals last year. This year he kicked 58 and won the Common Medal and was an All-Australian, so a massive lead into that elite level forward, which I didn't see coming. He was a bright point, probably with Sam Walsh and Jacob Wiedering down back. They've got a good spine, the Blues, but it was a pretty dull year, but he was a shining light in a pretty dark year for the Blues. He kicked 7 against Freo, 6 against the Brisbane Lions as well, and he just kicked bags of 3 and 4 all year. And I love how he's the Coleman medalist, the best goal kicker in the competition, and he has such a wacky style. He loves a snap, and maybe forwards can learn from that. Maybe the drop punt doesn't work for everyone. Definitely doesn't work for Harry McKay. He changed up his kicking pattern, snaps it, bananas it, doesn't matter. He makes it work and won the Coleman this year. No one would have predicted that happening. What a breakout season Harry McKay has had. The next player I'm going to talk about is Shai Bolton of Richmond, and what an electric player this bloke is. He had a goal of the year contender on Dreamtime against Essendon, a mark of the year contender against Geelong. He's a mesmerising player. Everyone's eyes at the ground go to him and watch him, and you can't keep him off him. That Dreamtime game I thought he should have got best on was given to Darcy Parish, who we may speak about soon, but that goal where he does a double spin, snaps it on his left, it was like, yeah, this kid has some special talent. I would have loved to see him at Freo, but he re-signed this season at Richmond. His stats didn't really increase much this season. They slightly increased. It wasn't massive, but he was just way more impactful this year, way more clean. And yeah, with Richmond missing Prestia for most of the season, Dusty was out as well. He was a really important player for them all season long, very consistent, and I think we're going to see him improve and reach his prime very soon. Another breakout player this season from Essendon, who I just mentioned, is Darcy Parish. He hasn't really played inside midfield too much. He's been outside and coming in at times, but this year with Shield and Jai Caldwell getting injured for most of the season, he's come in and he's delivered magnificently. He's made a formidable partnership with Zach Merritt, and most weeks they were tearing up midfields across the nation. He averaged around 20 disposals per game for the most of his career, and this year took a massive jump up to 30 touches a game on average. So absolute ball magnet this season, young Darcy. He won 3 best on ground medals this year. One on Anzac Day, he had 42 disposals and 2 goals against Collingwood, 44 disposals on Dreamtime in a loss against Richmond, and he had 43 disposals and a goal against Geelong in like a country medal. I don't even know what it is. Sounds pretty made up to me. But anyway, he's been best on ground multiple times this season. Essendon had a really good year this year, and that midfield's looking like it's going to be one of the best in the comp in years to come. You got Parish in there, Merritt, McGrath, couple of M's, Shield and Caldwell as well. Very young midfield with a young Draper tapping it down. They're going to be a great midfield and a great side in seasons to come. Hopefully one day they can win a final. Nick Larkey is another player who I was very impressed with this year, and he was sort of in and out of the side all of 2020, but in 2021 he played all but 1 game. After Ben Brown leaving, it left a gaping hole in that forward line for the Roos, and Nick Larkey has been the man to step up into that position. He kicked 42 goals for the season. His best game of the year was against Carlton. He kicked 7 on Jacob Wiedering. It was a massive performance. He had 20 disposals in that game as well, and it's looking like he's going to be the spearhead of this young North Melbourne side going forward in a year where they rebuilt, but they looked quite promising. I like what I've seen from North this year. For a young player, he was kicking 2 to 3 goals most weeks. He kicked 3 against West Coast in their best win of the year. I've liked a lot what I've seen from Nick Larkey. He's improved this year, believe me. The last player that I'm going to discuss in today's video is Cole Amon of Port Adelaide. He averaged 16 disposals in 2020, which he upped to 23.7 in 2021, also doubling his inside 50. So he's become a much more damaging player this season, linking up the defence to attack for Port Adelaide. And he's a genuine pure wingman, runs very hard both ways. He's one of the best kicks in the AFL, I believe. Left footer, silky smooth. He had 14 disposals in one quarter against Freo. He just cut through us like butter. Some of his standout performances this year were a goal and 28 touches against Carlton, 34 disposals and 15 marks against the Saints. He played very well against the Saints in both games this season. You don't see too many pure wingmen these days, but Cole Amon is a great example of it. Stiff not to get all Australian if you're going to have pure wingers on each wings. Obviously, they just chuck mids out there, but they don't get much better than Cole Amon on the flanks. And that's going to do it for today's video. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you drop a like and subscribe if you're new as well. Drop a comment down below. Who did I miss out? I'm sure there's plenty, so let me know down below. Go follow my Instagram @_Drewzy. Plenty of content coming out. Make sure you keep an eye out on the channel. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Take care, you plonkers.